Thank you, one and all. Thank you for coming to Snowsuit Poetry for its 53rd anniversary. What do you celebrate with? Paper, um, life science. I fall and I can't get up. What do you celebrate the 53rd anniversary with? I don't know, but fuck, I feel old. And
Styrofoam.
I'm only 2 years young. I'm actually a couple of years younger than this damn series, but not much for much longer. But we will celebrate throughout the month of May. We have some great announcements coming up. I've already made it known that CCO Chagra is going to be the feature for next week. His bio was not able. I was not able to open from the PDF file he gave me. I don't know if that's an ongoing thing for a lot of people. Submit Word if you can, guys. That's the best advice I have for you, especially if you're submitting to publications like Submittable. But on the subject of submissions, Stone's Throw, issue 7, Aim for the Thoughts and Prayers, came out, and my thanks to everyone who participated in that. And thanks to everyone who had the patience to wait so many years through COVID, elections, and Christ knows what else till we got this issue out, covered by David House, who wants to do the other one. So we're doing a call for submissions for Stone's Throw 8. This is, again, an online zine available on my website that I do for fun and print for fun. The name of the theme is called Unalive the Algorithm. I'll be posting more of an explanation as the days come. Love to get this out soon. Anyone who has art that thinks it might apply, let me know. More announcements for the last two features from May, which have been more or less locked in, are going to be hopefully posted by the end of this week. I have a lot going on in May, and I have a lot I want to do for Stone Soup, hopefully posting more videos, more poetry videos. Jason Wright, if you're out there, if you're listening, much love to you. He's been wanting to join for a while, but he's been indisposed for a while, but I just want to give a shout out. Shout out to anyone who is listening but can't make the call. Shout out to everyone who is making the call. Tonight's feature, and that's the point of utmost importance, is Mark Lipman, activist, poet, champion of the voiceless, translator, I think, is in there. Poet on the Moon. I think there was a celebration of his anthology, his poetry book, which is also selected for a lunar project. So some poets are going on the moon, and he's one of them, and he's the one who helped to make that happen. He's one of the people. He's not part of the launch team, but he is part of the poetry team, and that is an exciting venture, and as one of the poets selected, I thank him for his work. He's been putting out some amazing anthologies the last couple of years, Reimagine America, Descent, both from Vagabond, the publishing company, and links to those will be available. Whoops, let me mute everybody because it seems like there's some background noise going on. I can't hear it personally on my headphones, but that could just be my headphones. I think I'm the only one unmuted. And if that's what you were getting at, Jeff, I'll be done soon. But in all seriousness, what was I getting at? Oh, yes. In all seriousness, Mark Lipman has produced a lot of work, has a lot of work available through Vagabond Publishing. There'll be links to that. And it looks like the echo is coming from me. So I'm going to make one adjustment. And I think it's fixed. Okay, without further ado, we're going to introduce the feature tonight, and hopefully we'll get a few more people. I think there are some people who are already listening in on Stone Soup via my feed. For some reason, Zoom is not able to let me post on the group page anymore, so I'm going to fix that in a few moments. But first, my thanks to Mark Lipman, who has been part of Stone Soup been joining Stone Soup for a while. He was, well, God, was it way back in 2015 or 2017? I'm trying to think of when Stone Soup was doing Brew on the Grid, and he was one of the features there. And I have to say, the couple of months that we were there, might have even been less than 2 months, were one of our big highlights, and Mark was one of the highlight performers there, along with Jemima Van Dyke Bailey, and who else? Castillo. I'm trying to, God, I'm forgetting. So there's only a handful of people who featured, and I'm forgetting all of them, which of course I do because I am senile. Oh, yes, but point is that that's when I first got to hear his work up close. Actually, not even the first time I got to hear his work up close. I still have an iconic photo of him with wearing a shirt that looks like the late Walter Howard shirt. So he's been coming for a while, and we're very grateful for that. And I'm so grateful that he's featuring tonight. Melissa Castillo Garçal. That is the poet who I forgot that featured at Drew on the Grid as well, but Mark was also one. Fantastic memories and fantastic performances from him. And I'm glad we could get him to perform tonight. And hopefully, the next time Vagabond has an anthology coming out, Stone Soup will be more on top of the game, i.e., I will be more on top of my game, and we'll get him for a feature. But now, here comes the all important boilerplate for the poet before we introduce him. For those of you who don't know, Mark Lipman, founder of the press Vagabond, the Culver City Book Festival, the Elba Poetry Festival, and winner of the 2015 Joe Hill Labor Poetry Award, as well as the 2016 International Latino Book Award, and the 2023 Laurel de Dante, Dante's Laurel, Italy Award. He's a writer, a poet, a multimedia artist, activist, and author of 14 books. Mark began his career as the writer in residence of the world-famous Shakespeare and Company in Paris, France, from 2002 to 2003. Since then, he has worked closely with such legendary poets as Lawrence Ferlinghetti and Jack Hirschman on many projects, and for the last 20 years has established a strong international following as a leading voice of his generation. He is the host and foreign correspondent of the radio program Poetry from Around the World for Poets Cafe on KPFK 90.7 FM, Los Angeles. Who says radio is dead? As Mark continues to travel the world, he uses poetry to connect communities to the greater social justice issues while building consciousness throughout the spoken word. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the point that we've all waited for, including me. It's time for me to shut up. Time for me to shut the hell up and put your hands together 30, 40 times virtually, audibly, however you like, for Mr. Mark Lipman.
Well, thank you so much, Chad. That was such a great leading. I hope that I'm able to live up to this now. Yeah, it's such a pleasure to be back with Stone Soup. I remember coming to visit in Cambridge. Every time I came from LA to Boston to visit, I'd come with new books and we'd do a feature with you. And I'm very happy to be back. Tell you what, get right into it, and then early introduction. But I want to just lead off with a couple poems, and then I've got something special lined up for you. So,
Mark, you might be coming in a little shaky. Offer. You might be a little shaky. I can offer a suggestion. It might be good to turn off the video, to go to your picture and stop the video, and that might actually help. That's helped for a number of us who have featured in the past. Uh-oh. There we go. I think I don't see your video, but I stopped the video. Are you still there, sir? Ouchie. Okay, so we're gonna see. Oop. All right. So let's see if he's joining us again. We'll give him one shot, and then I think we'll have to go to the open mic in the hopes that he can fix this. He does have my video link because that's how he got on in the first place. So I am going to see if he has any trouble getting on. All right. All right, so we're gonna have to do something to keep us a little busy. So while we're waiting for Mr. Lipman to come on, we're gonna go to some of our open mic selections and. Okay, guys, you've been recruited. The Remdinator 5000 has selected to first go up on the open mic. Mr. Magister Galt, Magister Mr. Ed Galt. Go on, sir.
Oh, no. Okay, here I am. All right. My selection for tonight will be called Mr. Tannen and the Alien. And let's see what I can do here. Bring this up. Okay. Um, Mr. Tannen and the Alien. Auto repair level 1 was taught by Mr. Tannen. After school, he was known as Coach Tannen. In class, he was known as the Reverend Tannen, but not to his face. Never to his face. He led the pregame locker room prayers. He also preached the classroom sermons. Not much repair was taught. One day he was talking he was talking to us about Jesus, as usual. He said we had to put ourselves on the pyre, to give ourselves up to him. Then we would get them back. Our lives, that is. First, though, we would have to invite him into our lives. Then he would grow inside of us and take charge of our lives. Buzz raised his hands. Buzz raised his hand. Mr. Tannen, is this like in the movie where that creature was growing inside this guy and finally hatched from his chest, sprouting a geyser of blood? The next semester, Mr. Tannen stuck with the Old Testament. Then the question about Lot and his daughters came up. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks to Mr. Galt for signing us off. And Mr. Lipman, you're back.
The secret to every action movie is that you must have a tech failure.
There you go.
I'm just going to get right back into this and hope it holds up.
The only thing I might suggest, I don't know if you heard me, Mark, it might be
For
good to go
all
with
the
your.
mother's tears. Oh, Chad, no.
What happened? What happened?
What?
Oh, I was saying you might.
What happened? What?
I was gonna say turn the video off, but you're actually coming in clear now, so I'm just gonna shut the hell up and you go. Ladies and gentlemen, Mark Lipman. Yay!
Thanks. Sorry for the start and stops here. For all the mother's tears, for all those unseen, hiding beneath the rubble, whose children are double amputees, just statistics for the war machine. For all those who can't speak, who've been silenced and shut out from the national debate. For all those made homeless by the bombs of indifference, targeted by sniper and settlement, the red ink in the ledgers of a blood-for-profit regime. For all the hostages lingering in black sites and prison cells, held without charge or trial, hidden away from the spotlight. For all those being starved and left hungry, those guilty of being born, of being a thorn in the side of democracy. For all those who've ever picked up a rock or spray-painted graffiti, who've lifted up their voices and their middle fingers to the capitalist patriarchy. For all those who've decolonized their brains and stood on the right side of history. This poem is for you. I step into a land where my ancestors planted our family tree over 1,000 years ago. I have known no other sand between my toes, under my feet. This is my only home. One day, though, a stranger arrived, sat down at our table, drank our wine, ate our bread, raped our women, burnt our village, then declared me illegal. The color of my skin, the language on my tongue, the God I chose to believe in, demonized in order to justify their cruelty. The freedom that I enjoyed, my right to self-determination, gone, victim to yet another military occupation. My peace, simply a broken olive branch cut from me they tore down. My home, rubble beneath the tracks of their bulldozers. All I have ever had, all I've ever known, all taken from me. My blood turned into their gold. My heart broken from generations of lies and betrayals. If you cut me, do I not bleed? Crushed beneath the boot of technology by persons with no soul or body to touch, with no heart to feel, eyes blinded by hatred, ears closed to any reason, mouths shut out of fear, comfortably tucked away in their beds while human beings die in the streets under the batons and artillery shells of a militarized police state, wrapping oneself in a flag, worse yet, a religion, making excuses for genocide, sanctioning the murder of children. News actors continue to blame the victims, force-feeding us lies, calling us terrorists, because we were born unto the land that they coveted. Who is the real enemy? The one who believes something different than you, or the one who uses what you believe in to change who you are? There is no escaping the soul staring back in the mirror, regardless of the shifting lines on some map. Human rights have no borders. Hey, thank you. I'm going to go into something that is brand new. First time you're hearing this tonight. It's not a new poem, but it's a new mix. I like to bring in something new for each reading. So here's something I made up for you. I'm a spy in the house of love. I know the dream you've been dreaming of. I know your birth date and your mother's maiden name. I know your passwords and social security number. I know your deepest secret fear. I know everything. I'm a spy, the secret ancient man with national security letters in hand. I access all the databases, data mining your every move, tracking your very existence. From birth to death, nothing escapes the web. Information is power. Who controls the information controls the world. Who controls the technology, controls the information, controls what you see, when you see, and how you see it, controls you and what you think. I'm a spy. The FBI, Google, Microsoft, and Apple, the CIA and NSA, the devil and the government, all wrapped into one. I'm your worst nightmare. I'm in your mind, telling you how to vote and what to buy. I know your credit rating and your dog's favorite color. I control your Facebook profile. I know your tweets and likes and all your guilty associations, and it will all be used against you if you step out of line. I'm a spy. I know the words you long to hear. I'm the anonymous chat whispering in your ear. I see everything. With digital glasses, is that a porn app or facial recognition software staring at you from across the street? Never again can you be invisible in public. We're watching your every move, keeping you constantly wondering if this will be the day we come for you. Daring you to misbehave. I'm the microphone on your cell phone. I'm the pinhole camera on your computer. I'm the biggest brother you've ever seen. I'm the eye at the top of the fucking pyramid. I'm a spy, and I'm watching you. You couldn't shut me off if you tried. I know everything. Yeah. Thank you. I'm going to get into a little mix for you here. Something you might have heard, but I like to do this one with music, so I'm going to give this to you. It's called The Crows. I'm sure you might have heard the background story to this, so I'm going to get into it here. Don't you dare disturb those crows. Those crows been up in that tree longer than you'd know. Don't you dare disturb those crows. Up there they perch with midnight beak askew, sharpened talons gripping silky bark, ready to tear the flesh off the wayward field mouse. Eyes translucent black, they see right through you, cock-a-doodle-doo. You'd better have grit in your heart to travel in these woods. Them crows be always one step ahead of you. That's 'cause they got 99 to the one of you. They may seem fearful, stepping back, retreating to their branches. Just be careful overhead when you walk beneath them, ficus. Crows got a nasty way of keeping track of you. So don't you dare disturb those crows. Those crows been up in that tree longer than you know. Don't you dare disturb those crows. Now maybe you'll pitch a tent and stay a while. See what's going on underneath them shooting stars. And maybe you think those crows will just make way for you. Well, maybe they may and maybe they won't. That really depends on your own intentions. The tree is big and the limbs are wide. There's space for all who wish to reside. As you climb up high into the thicket of those leafy branches, do not be too surprised if the crows have all absconded and flown, now left unable to follow. You might take the tree, but does that make you truly free when their silence has stolen your thunder? Don't you dare disturb those crows. Those crows been up in that tree longer than you'd know. Don't you dare disturb those crows. They followed me home tonight. I could see their shadows lurking above, stalking my every footstep, daring me to slow my pace, pushing me forward. I ran away, feet falling fast, beating damp cobblestone. I turned towards the darkened alley, candlelight shimmering, the cages closing in. They circled in above my head, calling. Their raucous voice taunted my path into my very doorstep. Entered safer quarters, collapsing on my sofa. I took solace in the knowledge that not a moment of this would make the evening news. Officially, they didn't exist. Those crows gazing through my window, pecking at my eyes, filling my head with their social discontent, were only a figment of my imagination. Or so I am told. Don't you dare disturb those crows. Those crows been up in that tree longer than you know. Don't you dare disturb those crows. In winter, naked branches stretch out in all directions. Their spindly fingers make nests for a flock of silhouettes. 99 crows have gathered. They gaze into the horizon, watching and waiting. They bide their time. Sunsets burnt orange down before them. Twilight marks their feeding time. The tide is now uprising. As if a cue had just been called, they cock their heads and lift their beaks, and though as if exploding, they burst into the sky, streaking black the eventide. 99 crows devour the horizon. Don't you dare disturb those crows. Those crows been up in that tree longer than you know. Don't you dare disturb those crows. Now, maybe you think you're a hawk circling overhead, or the noble and bloodthirsty eagle watching from on high, looking down upon those swarming Negro masses. But just let it be advertised, those crows ain't no doves ready to coo and die. They're too experienced for that. Their lack of attack is based more on the intellectual of knowing how and where to strike their blows to be the most effectual. With all your speed and strength, the audacity of your governance, you'd never see it coming. The crows are everywhere. They're every one of us. When we come, it will be from every direction. So don't you dare disturb those crows. Those crows been up in that tree longer than you know. Don't you dare disturb those crows. Thank you. To change this up, because Chad had mentioned the incredible opportunity that I've had to be able to bring poetry to the moon. And just today we had the interview on air with Samuel Peralta, who is the founder of the Lunar Codex. You might have heard about the commission work for the Vagabond Lunar Anthology that is being sent up to the moon in November. And for that, I wanted to share I'm sending to represent my work in this anthology. It's called The Shooting Star. Once upon a time, there was a shooting star. And this shooting star was very happy because when he passed the sky at night, he could see all the lovers gazing up at him in wonder. But then one night, when he was shining in all his glory, he heard a whisper from way, way far below on earth. And what he heard terrified him because someone had pointed up to him in the sky and said he wasn't a star at all, but a meteorite. A meteorite, he shrieked within himself. How horrible! How could it be that he was merely a meteorite? And as he listened to the voices below, he began to discover. You see, continued the whisper, when a meteorite passes close to the Earth, some particles break up and burn up in the atmosphere, and that is what we see. What a tragic ending, thought the meteorite in shame. A star is the greatest creature in the universe. It gives warmth and light. Without the stars, nothing could live. To be degraded to just a meteorite in a second's time, and not even that, but just a piece, just a fragment, dust. That is what he was, just the dust of a meteorite. It was more than he could bear. But then, just as he reached his deepest despair, another, much softer voice rose up into the air. Oh, look, a shooting star, said the voice. How beautiful it is. With that, his heart beat just a bit faster as he chanced to glance downward to see where those words had come from. And at that very moment, he spied the lover's kiss. With that, he raced across the sky in a fiery red. Just dust he may be, but that is what dreams are made of. If there's time, I would like to close with one more piece. And this falls more into the idiom of bringing May Day back, that Chad promoted this feature as. So I wanted to keep in that spirit. One of the things that I like being able to do with the Zoom type meetings is that I'm able to bring a multimedia into this. So I've basically orchestrated a lot of my poetry for you. I hope it comes across clearly though, but let's see how this one goes. This one is entitled Good Night, America. All hail the American night, the fading crimson light on the horizon. From birch woods to redwood forest, from vast canyon to trickling stream, from Appalachian Trail to concrete garden, a shadow has covered this land. The shining seas still beat against these shores, yet its echo fades off into the wilderness. The tide of man has not waited, dragging impatiently the rowboat of our civilization out into open waters where the waves of progress have soaked our dreams to the bone until the very marrow of hope has dissolved. Shivering with wet and cold, this lonely seaman clings to his oars, rowing as if his very life depended on it. His eyes straining to find a safe port, beating back the swelling tempest, while the watery sheet of time towers above his head in threatening posture. His eyes straining to find a safe port, beating back the swelling tempest, while in the distance the proud eagle roars, untouched by the tears of field mice. The crash is a foregone conclusion. Tonight, the last generation of memory will be put to sleep, a new reality awoken. Yet, staring up into the hurricane's eye, the force of Almighty upon him, his salty brow stained and grizzled, hands calloused from years of labor, his age bearing down upon him, the old man finds serenity as he too is swallowed up in the star-spangled experiment. Down to his knees, he is pulled to the depths, the weight of water all around him, crushed into the foundations. He, too, has become a building block for the concrete walls and razor wire that are raised up high to pierce the sky in praise of what has long been forgotten. For 10,000 years, we did live in harmony with the world, with the buffalo and salmon, and yes, with even the crow. Our trees were not cut, but grown. We rode free, savoring the open plains on a land that knew no lord. But then the ships arrived, and the flowers of May no longer held their savor. They bloomed instead a steely gray and spoke to us of a savior who ushered in an age of cavalry swords and gunpowder to save us from ourselves. Our descendants tied to anchors and dragged away in chains from their native shores, while monuments guard the gates for those tired and huddled masses sleeping homeless at the foot of the door, denied entry to their promised land, and Eden no more. Conquered and defeated by the mighty arms of technology, we do not shed a tear. Instead, we stand proud of our accomplishments for our clean food and water and air, for our cultures that have all but disappeared. The nature of life is impermanent. We must sail to where the winds of time will carry across that golden sunset into the house of our ancestors, while those of the computer age simply die from within, a hollow, rootless tree tumbling at the first hint of wind. So build your statues of granite and light to the vast decaying greatness, showing them the chiseled faces, not of presidents, but of slaves and peasants, those who were whipped and beaten for their masters' sins, who toil to build these bastions and battlements, born into their poverty and position, as we today are born into our debt and indentured servitude, humbling to the banker's chicanery, begging for mercy, selling our blood for rent money, while they snicker in the shadows, still overshadowed by our true potential, lest we forget how close we came to the promise they gave of a world without regents or kings. Eagerly we bought the passage they bartered, pressing our aching bodies to the ship's rail, gleaning the horizon of a new day as it slowly rolled into view, catching that glint of a better life, of all the possibilities right there before our eyes, and holding it as our own, breathing in the freshness of the long and winding tale known only as America. For generations, we laid down brick and miles of rail and built up their tall towers. We worked the mines and sweatshop mills for what they'd pay by the hour. We died in wars. We fought and killed those who were our brothers. We sowed the crops and paid our bills, yet reaped only the hunger. So too shall pass these final days, and many will be left to wonder where went those amber fields of grain and the promise of a better future, while millions walk the picket lines, living without job or shelter. We huddle close and bide our time, for all will come asunder. We gave all that we had to give, and from us was taken the rest. We put down our books and forgot to question what the television said. We became afraid of different shades of color, of them who had what we wanted, cowering away from any idea that was in our own self-interest, holding tight to the status quo while the merchants of war made it illegal and worse, unpatriotic to stand against the grain and just say no. Out of habit, we did what we were told, selling off our birthright for a handful of oil and gold, marching to a goose-step drum, squeezing us to become the lowest common idiom. That old man with his lonely oar pushed down to his knees still sings his praise to the failing light, a twinkle in his eye, a man he was and still will be until the day he dies. His whisper lingers in the air, raspy and full of homage. Yes, he said, I did make a difference, if then just a little, then a little to create the needed balance. Perhaps a word to the wind may not be heard, and all ears have gone deaf. Yet if it is our faith to be deaf, then let us be deaf like Beethoven, screaming our joy to the void, filling our own minds with music and the love of what might have may, and say, yes, I will be remembered. Slowly, he lays down his head and takes his much needed slumber. The stars watching over with their infinite gaze, silent as forever. All that is written, all that must be, will eventually come to pass. We are merely another chapter in the unending saga, no greater, no less. So close your sleepy eyes and take your well-earned rest. Good night. Farewell. Adieu, America. Thank you.
Give it up, hands together, 30, 40 times.
Thank you, everyone.
Throw your laptop over. No, well, don't do that. But,
Throw your laptop out the window.
Margaret, give me a table to flip
Nice
over.
job, Mark. Nice job. A lot of good work. A lot of hard work.
Thank you very much, Mark. Very
Thank
wonderful
you. I
reading.
try to do my best for you.
Check out vagabond.net. There's a link to it. I'll be linking to it as well. If Mark wants to share his PayPal, Venmo, or other apps, a way of accepting donations, you can do that. But I'm sure he would also like you to buy any of his books, any of the anthologies he set it up, the Reimagine America anthology, the Descent anthology, and so much more. I'm listing selfishly the first two at the top of my head because I have work in them. But there's much more to be had, to be seen, and I hope you do. National Poetry Month is over, but the poetry can still be supported. And for that, we thank you, Mark. And wow, if you want to come back with an encore afterwards, you can do that. But I think we have an open mic and some people chomping at the bit, all fired up after your performance. So we're going to go to that.
I'm happy to stay with you guys to the end. So thank you for having me.
Thank you, Mark. And with that, we did start with Ed. We're gonna start again with him because that was kind of like an intervention. Because I thought I wasn't sure how long Mark was gonna come, and it's not fair to him. So let's have him reintroduce his poem again, Mr. Magister, if you would be so kind. Okay, so let's where do we go to next?
I'm sorry, was that directed to me, Chad?
I was actually directed to Mr. Galt. I don't know where he is, but he must have to step out. So we'll go to Mr. Mark States. Let's get the other Mark out of the way. I'm kidding. But welcome back, sir, and let's hear your work.
Thank you, Chad. The shadowy places. Deep into the weeds of melancholy I had come, from that purgatory of a teenager's room, alone with the afternoon sun and tabletop AM radio. Volume set just high enough to muffle any sobs calling out their presence. You're ugly. You're stupid. Nobody likes you. These thoughts danced over my pillow, hovering like gnats over the carcass of an expired plum, each phrase grabbing the cuff of my pants legs and dragging me even deeper into the weeds of melancholy. The deepest places, the shadowy places where only spiders and rats exist. And those red ants that would absolutely eat you alive if you were ever tied to a maple tree and someone slit the bark above you and maple syrup oozed out and slowly began to cover you. Then those ants soon cover you as those hurtful words had covered you. Everything is covered, but I feel so naked and ashamed. Wincing as each mandible of condescension dug in and scooped out a milligram of flesh and self-respect. So deep into the weeds, their roots in the dirt appear as lightning striking overhead, and assuredly I should be dead, as the bully said. In order to keep myself alive, I buried myself inside a dream. At the first hint of dawn, I shall tiptoe down the stairs with fishing pole and tackle box and every penny I had, hitchhike if I could, walk if I had to, from the bay to the delta to one of the rivers or sloughs Grandma and Grandpa used to take us to. Find a clearing by a shore, surrounded by protector trees and away from the view of the farmer whose land it was. I'd forage for bait and catch my own meals of fish, and yeah, I'd probably need a tent and a blanket before it got to rainy season. Who knew if I had enough dollars and quarters for that? A 16-year-old has only so much experience in the economics of staying alive, though the motivation is certainly there, and how much worse could it be anyway? When compared to a room of solitude, dreading the next voice through the wall might wrap its arm around my neck and choke out the last breath of my dignity, I would rather have died sitting at the base of a tree, fishing pole in hand, the last conscious thought before slipping away, marveling at the beauty of a dragonfly, hovering in a breeze several feet away. And next of kin, not being able to identify my body because they could not remember ever seeing a smile on my face. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Ed, want to give you a chance to reread your poem for the audience, especially since Mark missed it during his
Oh, okay.
kerfuffle.
I was reading that off the computer and I put my computer away. So
Oh,
if I could actually read that maybe a couple people down the line,
sure. Let's
I
go
can get
now.
back out again.
No
Thank
problem.
you.
Let's go now to Jackie Oldham. Past Don't Sue feature. Good to have you back. I know you've been listening. You've been stalking us on Facebook. So, oh, you gotta mute yourself. There you go. You're
Thank
on.
you. Now I've got to log back in and find my poem again. Oh, here we go. So I'm going to read a poem that just appeared in Spill Words last month. One of two poems published in National Poetry Month. Who knew? This one is called By Choice I Live Alone. By choice I live alone in the house I dreamed of owning as a child. In the house of my dreams, I was going to host parties, entertain my nieces and nephews at sleepovers, show the world and myself that I was a loving, capable, happy, caring, responsible woman. I did those things, but not in the ways I thought I would. I count on one hand the dinners I hosted, the silly times I had with nieces and nephews whose drawings and photos, games and toys still fill shelves and drawers in hidden corners. On the other hand, I count the brother who died after living with me for 7 years. The 3 dogs I gave my heart, my soul, and all hope of order to. Their ghosts appear in frayed carpets and teeth marks in coffee tables. The family members who moved in and out of my house, leaving half their possessions for me to declutter long after they were gone. Now I spend my days trying to put my life in order, building libraries on every floor, converting space for music and art that I create. After 30 years, I want to host one last party. But who is left to join me? That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie. Who do we have next? Why don't we go to Jen Rowe? Welcome back from last week. There you go.
Thank you. This is called Effects of Sleep Deprivation. Someone snoozing in the sun at Winter and Washington Street, Boston. Safer than at night, especially for this young woman. Reminds me of how I just became more and more sleep deprived over my recent 2 nights in Wilmington, Delaware, and 3 nights at my brother's in the town where I grew up, South Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, on the Monongahela River. I moved from there a half century ago. So the sleep deprivation worsened my mood. I became more argumentative and confrontational, except with my 5-year younger brother, who fell over a steep hill drunk, redislocating his arm from a prior fall involving alcohol and fracturing his ankle. I told my spouse, my easygoing spouse, that I did not like several of his responses. I argued with people on the phone and even at church, though I had been sleeping 3 nights when I found George was a retired investor bankster, and likely property owner. I was cutting people off, not even listening. The 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason rule. Especially, I didn't want to hear what anyone said about medications nor nutrition. One of the reasons I went from teaching to nursing. So downtown crossing, Boston yesterday, a homeless young man confronted a housed young man. I kept my distance. Thank you. Poignant, huh?
Thank you, Jan. Up next, let's welcome up Mr. Jeff Taylor, poet, publisher, host of the Controverse Open Mic, which is happening this Monday, isn't it?
This Monday, yes, we have March Penn is our feature,
Sweet.
and their book is just coming out. The book release actually is tonight, and so yeah, next if we come Monday, then you'll be able to see March Penn feature and get their new book from Game Over Books. So I'm kind of split on what to do. I have a poem that I was going to read that is coming out in the Poetry Cove magazine at the end of May 28th. But then I thought I might read a Steve Albini song in poem form since he passed away. So I think I'm going to do that. I think I'm kind of feeling doing this. And this is a song by Big Black, the band Big Black. It's called Kerosene. It's about two people that were so bored they just set themselves on fire. It's written by Steve Albini, who's a record producer and musician from Chicago. I was born in this town, live here my whole life, probably come to die in this town, live here my whole life. Never anything to do in this town, live here my whole life. Never anything to do in this town, live here my whole life. Probably learn to die in this town, live here my whole life. Nothing to do, sit around at home, stare at the walls, stare at each other and wait till we die, stare at each other and wait till we die. Probably come to die in this town, live here my whole life. There's kerosene around, something to do. There's kerosene around, she's something to do. There's kerosene around, she's something to do. There's kerosene around, we'll find something to do. Set me on fire, kerosene. Set me on fire, kerosene. Set me on fire, kerosene around, something to do. There's kerosene around, find something to do. Kerosene around, find something to do. Set me on fire, kerosene. Set me on fire, kerosene. Set me on fire, kerosene. Jumped kerosene, now what do we do? Kerosene around, nothing to do. Jumped kerosene, now what do we do? Never anything to do in this town. Never anything but chuff kerosene. Never anything to do in this town. Never ever anything to do but chuff kerosene. Set me on fire, kerosene. Set me on fire, kerosene. Set me on fire, kerosene. Set me on fire. That was by Steve Albini, his group Big Black. A good quote from him is, he only writes lyrics to give him an excuse to scream into a microphone. But he's got a lot of good records. He's produced a lot of great records. Surfer Rosa by the Pixies' first record, Nevermind by In Utero by Nirvana, and Rid of Me by PJ Harvey. Countless records he produced.
Well, thank you, Jeff. Up next, I'm going to welcome up Mr. Ken Johnson. Welcome back, sir.
I got a short one for you that I wrote just before showing up tonight. It goes, roses are red, violets are blue. I got nothing new. So Chad, back to you. Seriously, I got nothing new tonight. So, but I had to hear Lipman, so hooray for that.
Hooray for that indeed, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Let's go back to Ed just getting a chance to read the poem as part of the open mic proper, rather than the impromptu slot I got. So if you're ready, Mr. Magister Maestro, it's up to you. Just don't forget to unmute. There you
Okay,
go.
here we go. All right. Thank you, Chad, but I had a couple of things I wanted to say about this. Number one, this is sort of a reincarnation of a poem that I lost once, and I kind of redid it from memory. And sometimes poems can come back better than before when you rewrite them that way. But sometimes, in a way, losing this poem was the best thing I could have done. Anyway, the other thing I wanted to say is that I have a book coming out later this year, and this poem entitled Mr. Tannen and the Alien will be in that collection of poems. It's called Airhead and Other Poems. So it'll come out later this year. Anyway, here it is, Mr. Tannen and the Alien. Auto repair level 1 was taught by Mr. Tannen. After school, he was known as Coach Tannen. In class, he was known as the Reverend Tannen, but not to his face, never to his face. He led the pregame locker room prayers. He also preached the classroom sermons. Not much repair was taught. One day he was talking to us about Jesus, as usual. He said we had to put ourselves on the pyre to give up our lives to him. Then we would get them back. Our lives, that is. First, though, we would have to invite him into our lives. Then he would grow inside of us and take charge of our lives. Buzz raised his hand. Mr. Tannen, is this like in the movies where that creature was growing in that guy and finally hatched from his chest, sprouting a geyser of blood? The next semester, Mr. Tannen stuck with the Old Testament. Then the question about Lot and his daughters came up. Thank you very much. Thank you. Hope it was better this time. Thank you. Goodbye.
And up next, put your hands down, Bill, you're up.
Hi, thank you. Oh, Chadford, you make me so happy. Where would life be without Stone Soup on Wednesday night? I mean, all of us, everybody, just give Chadford some love here. This guy makes things happen. I mean, would you want to be the person writing herd on us, trying to get people showing up and be features and getting this Zoom thing working? And no, Chad is my hero. Unfortunately, Mr. Lipman is not. He and I have some really serious differences, I see. And let me put this out straight, sir. Fuck you, crows. Fuck your cawing like drunken seagulls. Fuck your black feathers, your two-bit Draven wannabes. And fuck, you're stealing my chicks. Those sweet, tiny, chirpy little balls of fluff and love and joy, gone. Not even for a meal, just a tasty snack. Fuck you, crows. Fuck you. Fuck you. Go eat something your own size. How about a ground squirrel? Fucking crows, fucking crows, fucking crows. Okay. Me recover. I have a nicer poem somewhere in here. Yeah, 8 of them. I had 9, and I was gone for a few hours, and I'd let the kids out before. It had been no problem. And this time, man, the crow just got him. 8 out of the 9 chicks are gone. So I'm depressed, and I'm really pissed at crows. And if I had a shotgun and an open shot at them that didn't hit my car or my brother's house, those crows would be in real trouble. The pornography generation. The neighbor girl had a dirty picture, and she said I was a naughty boy for looking at it and had to be spanked. I was 5. I had no idea what was going on, only that it was really sexy, whatever it was. In high school, my dad had Playboys under his bed, which I found so exciting. My older brother's friend, Paul, he talked about visiting the cruddies. He described the sights, the sound, the smell. Sounded gross. At 30, I went to San Francisco and I sought one out, the cruddies. It was gross. I once visited a strip joint in Mexico with a bunch of other hang glider pilots. It was weird and scary and really, really gross. The world has changed. Today's youth know no mysteries, no worries, no boundaries, no dangers. Every body shape, every orifice, every position is well known, carefully documented, recorded, and filed away. Today's 10 years old know more names for sexual positions and fetishes that I knew existed. They have the perfect world of lust that we have dreamed about when we were children. How different they must be, how wonderful their lives must be, the safety, the support, the social acceptance. How happy they must be. Are they truly, truly all that happy? Mr. Chadford.
I didn't know what the hell you were doing at first, so I'm just gonna leave this surprised cat emoji as my background for the rest of the day, for the rest of the reading. So now I bring you to Mr. John Wesick.
Unmute. Thank you, Chad. Well, we were talking about crossing the continent in covered wagons and stuff. And yeah, years ago, I went from coast to coast and for business meetings several times, flying in the middle seat for about a dozen times, and I was really pissed off about that. And so, thinking about covered wagons and stuff, I came up with this little flash fiction. It's called Pioneer's Spirit. Feeling giddy, I was up afore the cock crowed. Pa said a boy like me weren't likely to make such a journey 'cept for once in his lifetime. 'Twas true, I was about to see sights my schoolmates hadn't. A great continent with wide rivers, bountiful plains, and gigantic mountains. My good mood weren't to last, though. As soon as we got to the check-in line, an arrow struck in Pa's laptop. Indians! We circled our roll-on bags right there in the departure suite and returned fire till we drove 'em off. Sure was mighty glad we brought along our Winchester repeating rifles. Damn shame them TSA agents confiscated 'em at security. Had to build a campfire in the departure lounge to keep the cougars and coyotes away. Ma fried up some Johnny cakes, Pa set out some snares, and came back with a poppy seed bagel and cream cheese. 'Bout an hour into the flight, Ma started to feel right poorly. Pa ain't no doctor, but he'd seen enough sick folks to know a case of swamp fever. We tried to make Ma comfortable, but with the tiny pillows and airline blankets and all, but when we was over Death Valley, she started begging for water, only we didn't have no credit cards to buy no beverages or box lunches. Hold on, Ma, Pa held her hand. I tried to cool her brow with a bandana soaked in urine, but it weren't no good. We asked if there was a preacher on board, but there weren't none, so Pa said a few words from the good book afore we laid Ma's body to rest in the aft galley. That flight seemed like to last forever, what with them tiny seats, Adam Sandler movies and all. By the time we was over Ohio, I'd have rather wrestled a pack of rabid possums in my long johns than sit through another one. When we made our final approach, we bowed our heads and Pa thanked the Almighty. But our trials weren't over. Pa killed a rattlesnake over by the baggage claim, and a masked man with a 6-shooter tried to rob us at the Wolfgang Puck's Pizza. If it weren't for Pa thinking fast and putting back that Caesar salad, we would have not have made it out of there. We rounded up a bunch of drovers to carry our bags, but one of the mules got washed away in a torrent from the busted water main on our way to the Hotel Courtesy van. I'll never forget my first look at our new home, the Marriott Hotel. It had the prettiest red roof, but them big picture windows made us sitting ducks if the Indians decided to attack. Lucky for us, there were plenty of trees we could cut down to build proper defenses. Pa said we could do that on the morrow, for planting sorghum on the divider in the parking lot. For now, all he wanted to do was set out his bedroll and watch HBO. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, we have. God. If you're getting Bill Lewis all up in the comments, you know you're doing something right. Getting to the end of our journey, close to it. Looks like we have a musical number potentially tonight. In lieu of Ethan Mackler being away. By golly, indeed, Mark. And it looks like Mark was putting in his own kind of poem at the end. He's adding his own kind of poem in the chat. From pornography to an arrow in the laptop. That is brilliant. I have to steal that. But for now, let's give everyone a glimpse, a sneak preview, if you will. Next week's feature of Stone Soup Poetry. His name is C.C. Chagra. You might be familiar with him if you've been to the open mic once or twice. Take it away, sir.
Okay, thank you very much, and happy we're at the year number 53, so congratulations on that. This book wouldn't exist without Stone Soup, so that's at ccrshagra.com. And I got a brand new piece, and then I'll do a song, and I'm really looking forward to next week there. This is Dear Destruction. This may be part of a new project of mine called Yesternow. I thought we needed a new word, so I came up with Yesternow, wrote a bunch of poems, and I even have a song called Yesternow that I'm working on. We'll see what's happening with the lyrics. I'll try to update you on that next week. Dear Destruction, I agree with you are in pain, as your efforts are. I'm going to start again. Dear Destruction, I agree with you are in pain, as your efforts of fear are relentless. You are the tooth that just wants to bite itself, the bone at war with its own marrow, the face and your fists of beliefs in a fight, and anger as you feel their impact and bruises. You are the yesterdays you cannot stop living, and the annoyance you experience as the present approaches. You're the clocks and calendars that can only turn back time, ever switching sides in the cycle of abuse and abused. My name is offensive to you. The thought of it makes you hate life. You have learned to rebrand my presence while pretending you breathe free air, and so the air should bow and thank you for your domination over its creation. As good and evil live like a conjoined twin, as right and wrong are just two hands grown out from one body, as us versus them are ever falling as the flip of the same coin, as best and worse face each other inside one mirror, both afraid of ghosts. Meanwhile, time is. This will all end. And nothing you hold to can change this. Eternity said, I'm an eye's blink. Forever said, death is your friend. Now arrives as silence sleeping, dreaming how the mind hears all the kindness of laughter. Patience continues paying the price of life's birth, while humility lives to be love and to ask, destruction, why do you fear my name? And I think I'm gonna go with either Forever Hums or Mirrors Watering My Mind. I think I'll do Forever Hums. Life is only death, but not forever. Rivers only waters, not dry bones. You see, love is only everything is a miracle. And you and I, the song, Forever Hum. Noon is only midnight as the world dreams. Time is only clocks, not broken yet. And a knife is just a tool, and a useful kind one that no one ever needs to harm true love with. And a man is just a womb without a gravestone. And a child only tears that wait to laugh. And aging is just a series of soul lessons. As if all moments equal just one lifespan. Well, hunger is the price of dreams become form. And thirst reminds the oceans they're not sky. And eyes and ears are always learning to feel. Further than you see why you are here. And the ground of love is only all the sky knows. Where sight becomes how beauty can let the blind see. Where vision lifts the heart up. And rests in peace there. you can catch your last breath. And walk your soul home. Life is only death, but not forever. And rivers only water, not dry bones. You see, love is only everything is a miracle. And you and I, the song forever hum. Hope to see y'all next week. Oh my God, mouse ears over your head. What are you doing? They look like eyes. the cat looks like mouse ears. It scared me. Disney frightens me. Eugenics guy. Throw that in there. Thank you.
Thank you, CC. And as he said himself, there's more where that came from next week on the 15th at Snowsuit Poetry. By the way, CC, you'll have to send me, you'll have to either cut and paste your bio in an email, or you'll have to resend me that as a Word file. I tried to open up the PDF and I couldn't.
Oh, I didn't know it was a PDF. Okay, I'll redo it.
You're the second person I've had trouble with, so I don't know if it's my computer. I'm setting up Windows 11, so hopefully.
Oh man, I was born to cause trouble.
It's all good. Just want to let you know. I'll be posting the information soon.
I try to create good trouble though.
Cool. You do that very well.
And I'm so grateful that Jack got us here. So never stop learning from him ever.
And now, closing us out tonight. Back from his Philadelphia trip last week. Author of the poem column, It's All One Thing, every Thursday morning at 11 o'clock at oddballmagazine.com, which is in need of submissions, by the way, so send your work if you want, if you can. We're finally getting caught up with submissions. We had up to a 6-month waiting period. Now we're actually dwindling down to 3. So it's, God help me, we're getting caught up. And I don't want a shortage during one of the more important years of our existence. But let's welcome up someone who always has his content up for us. Let's welcome up Mr. James Van Loy.
Hey, Chad. So I wanted to read Nancy Dotson's last poem here. This is called War in Gaza. And she wanted this to be read, and it was read at her memorial service that took place over in Cambridge Cemetery over there. War in Gaza by Nancy Dotson. The need to fight is there upon endangered species everywhere. I hope the number of dead will cease. Unfortunately, the numbers increase in the Middle East. Thank God I am not of fighting age. The killing of children and citizens shock one in their toll. Protests grow as merciless killings in Gaza happen. Anger and hatred must go. Forgiveness must lead to ceasefire and peace in the Middle East. So be it. And I have a poem here called Notes from the Holy Wasteland. Where, oh where, is wild John the Baptist? Now that we really need him, oh him in this lamestream time of pussyfoot mendacity. We stand frozen on the ebless barren shore and look for the water no longer there. Only effluent issues from a single pipe. And the growing buoyant power of this dying Dead Sea becomes more and more dense, but nowhere is the fierce growling countenance of the hairy jerkin and leather loincloth to call us to the one who will save us. No, we stand on the bank before the last place where the holy stream disappears forever. And all we can see is the old legend church where they say he once long gone called upon us to sink to the cleansing depth, only to arise to a new life in a reborn world. He is not there, even as she is everywhere. The Black Virgin Madonna is in her place in a new chapel of prayer for St. John the Mythological. And the spiral of the sea worm snail is stained glass so far within, and pediment sculptures so high without, way up there where we long to go again, but cannot, until the decapitated man somehow, some way reclaims the pure waters of his signal ministry to prepare the way for all of us, too desperately alone waiting to notice we are the one we've been waiting for. And a quick song. The people sit waiting, shit hits the fan, sewage in the harbor, the gutters are jammed. Lost the poopy diaper down the old commode, the press has been sucked down the bathtub's hole. Took every dollar that wasn't nailed down, turned our last stand homes into the expensive part of town. Transformed our jobs into part-time filling slots, collect plenty of the money, cause there ain't no benefits. The throughway is crammed with fumes and heat. No one gets out, no one escapes the fleet. Don't drink the water, stockpile rice and beans, play them Monopoly games in that nuclear fantasy dream. What comes round goes round, so don't swim back the dam. People get ready, shit done hit the fan. Thank you.
And with that, we conclude an amazing night. Thank you so much for Mark Lipman. If he has an encore or any last words at all in general, let's hear him now.
Well, thank you just for having me feature here. It was great being back at Stone Soup, and thank you everyone for your support as well and your wonderful poetry. Wow, what a great night. Bravo to everyone. Thank you again.
Thank you, Mark, and thanks to everyone. We did do the final wave before the cat eats me. And actually it looks too scared, shocked to eat me. But we're going to sign off, and next week will be CCR Chagra. The final two features will be announced. Thank you guys very much. It could be like this every week for the rest of the month and the rest of the year. All we need is you. Your support is not only appreciated, it's essential. This Snow Soup brought to you by Death Wish Coffee. I'm definitely grabbing that for the girlfriend. Thank you guys. Have yourself a great night. And it's not the King Biscuit Flour Hour, but it's close enough. It's the Death Wish Coffee Stone Soup Hour. Just take care of yourselves and have yourselves a great night. Show's over. See you next time.